His reason for getting out of the elevator, though, that's bad story right there. Like, shoot him in the head or they'll come back. And it's like, Dewey, who cares? I care. Like, really? You should care about getting out of here, bro. You made perfect sense in the movie up until that point. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Hope Views. Today, we're going to do the full spoiler discussion for Scream 5. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't so far. Most of the views come from people who aren't subscribed, and it would be deeply appreciated if you hit subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoy the conversation, and please leave a comment. Let me know, how did the movie come across to you? How did you like it? Did you catch some of the things that I caught? And let's just go ahead and talk about the movie. So I give Scream 5 a 7.8 out of 10. The way we'll get into the spoilers is that we'll break down each category where we come with a number for it, and then we also talk about what things we liked, didn't like, or noticed throughout the film in each category. So for me, I gotta start off with story, which is the weakest part of the movie to me, and I give it a 5 out of 10. Now the reason why is because I did a video called 3 Things You Should Know About Scream 5. And the thing about it is, I was very much right when I said this is Scream. There was a lot of commentary and people's little short reviews that they could put out before embargoes are lifted. They said things like it's very meta, it's very self-aware, and that's very true. But again, that's not saying anything because Scream is Scream, and the plot for Scream 5 could very well be the exact same plot for Scream 4. The motives of the characters are slightly different, but the movie unravels to be almost an exact copy of the first movie, and almost an exact copy of Scream 4. The reason why I can say that is because I, this week, watched all the Screams before this came out, and yeah, I felt like I was watching the same thing over and over again. This movie, Scream 5, we get 2 crazed fans. So take out the fandom and just put in any reason to be crazy. And they started killing people, had this elaborate plan. They get to the final act of the movie, they reveal their elaborate plan, they reveal the way that they're gonna survive. Things get messed up with injured players like Sidney Prescott, like Gale Weathers. Stop me if you heard this before. And they end up foiling the plan for the 2 would-be psychopaths. And it's like, that story has been done so many times within this franchise that I can't give it high marks. Now, at the same time, I'm not saying like I didn't have fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. It was very fun, a very fun film to watch, but the story was like nothing amazing. I'm glad that they didn't stretch things out and try to go to extreme lengths to make this thing about Sidney Prescott. It really wasn't. It was really more about Billy's like love child, which is fine, that's fine. But I'm very glad that the story kind of unraveled the way it did, because truly, if you want to make another Scream movie, it's gonna be done in similar fashion. The only thing that's surprising is who survives and who does not. So yeah, story was weak, but still a fun time. Let's get into the visuals and talk specifically about the performances. So, and this is where the real spoilers come in at, because the movie did a lot, combination of visuals and performances. They did a lot to kind of misdirect you and make you think this person is the killer or that person is the killer. But in truth, one of the killers did a great job at hiding the fact that he was the killer. And then another one of the killers, I feel like, was telegraphed from the jump. So the girl, she was telegraphed to me. I don't know if it was the editing of it or her performance in general, but she came across as a person who was too invested in everything. And then you get the reveal at the end of the 3rd act that she's a crazy fan of the Stab films, and she was too invested. Like, she was too obsessed with the genre or the film franchise of Stab. So for that to be a thing, I don't know, it was, to me, it was telegraphed. The moment that she had any kind of emotional reaction on screen, I noted in my mind like, ooh, she cared too much, something not right about her. And throughout the film, she came across as a person who cared too much and something wasn't right. And lo and behold, she was a psycho. The better performance was by Jack Quaid. I very much like Jack Quaid in The Boys, and he did a great job. I'm talking about a masterful job, to me at least, hiding the fact that he was the killer. He came across as such an impish, non-violent person, just never gave a notion that he was really the person who was like assisting with all this murder that was occurring. And there were times, you know, Dewey called him out. Dewey was like, hey, you always got to look at the love interest. Like, I wouldn't trust this guy. Do you know this guy? It was an instant thing. Dewey pointed him out like, hey, he's probably your guy right here. First appearing on screen. And we got to talk about Dewey too. But I found it to be a repetitive thing where I noticed that this dude, he is very conveniently placed and he could be the one. And then it turns out, wow, he's not the one. He's not the guy. Wow. He really doesn't seem like he has it in him to do this. Right down to the very last moment. Now, in pre-production, you know, pre-production phone calls with my producer, we talked, and my producer noticed the moment in the hospital scene where the boyfriend, Jack Quaid, had got slashed on the arm and he was down. And then Dewey and the sister arrive and they shoot, you know, Ghostface. And my producer says, oh, the camera went to Jack Quaid and focused on his face. And he gave a reaction. And the camera let you see that he had a reaction. Like, he showed concern for the person under the Ghostface mask. And I was like, I didn't catch that. I know I didn't look away. I was locked in. I just didn't notice that. But my producer did. And he was like, that's when I knew it has to be him. He said, and just like I feel, his certainty wavered because Jack Quaid was so good with, you know, screaming like a little girl, or, you know, just coming across as like, oh, I can't be me. Like, oh man, I don't want to be here. Like, oh man, I don't want to go to this party. He did so much to prove his, or, you know, to make a case for his innocence. And it turns out he was actually the one. So great performance from Jack Quaid. And I did like the rest of the cast as well. I'm glad that Dewey got a chance to shine, although, and this is gonna lead into pace as well. Dewey had moments throughout the movie. When they first showed him, it was like a bit of a moment, and then they went and they knocked on his door and they sat down and talked. Like, that was a bit of a moment. And like, Gale showed up at the crime scene, and then that was a moment. And I felt like the first moment I saw him, I said, oh, Dewey's out of there. Like, Dewey is not living through this movie. I just knew it. I don't know if it was the way he delivered his lines. I don't know if it was the way the camera focused on him, or maybe just his storyline just being like kind of down and out, and, you know, falling on hard times. I don't know what it was, but it did come across to me like, Dewey not getting out of this one, man. Dewey's gonna be the OG cast member to die. Also, from my other video, I said like it's gonna be real stakes for the OG cast, and it's like they actually use that term in the movie. I felt vindicated. I felt smart. But yeah, I knew that Dewey was not gonna make it from the moment he showed up. And I don't know if it was performance or like the way it was shot. But speaking about Dewey, kind of leads me into pace though, because I thought the movie was paced very well, and I'm very glad that they let Dewey scenes breathe. I feel like it was towards the middle of the movie. I didn't have a watch or anything like that. I was locked in. I was focused like anyone else would be. But when Dewey hit the screen, like, things kind of slowed down. And every time he was on screen, when he had his moment with Gale, it's like they're talking about stuff that happened off camera, you know, years between films. And it's like, give me more. Like, I'm very happy that you took a break from telling your story. You took a break from setting up new characters and killing folks to actually give me some story about these characters that we've been following now for what, like 30 years. That was cool. It was very cool to see Dewey really get his time to shine. And the film just kind of gave him his moments. They also gave Gale like a few little moments where it was like, yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Gale. It's just like, let it breathe. She doesn't have to do a whole lot. This scene doesn't have to be long and drawn out. Like, there was a lot of chemistry between the OG cast members that kind of lent itself to slowing down, and I don't know, it really worked for me. The pace didn't let up. I wasn't bored at any point in time, although they let Dewey have a moment, and I'm glad that he had his moment. It lent itself to kind of letting you know he ain't gonna make it. He's not gonna get out of this. And I like the way they respected the character as well. Like the killer saying it's an honor, because yeah, he's been around, man. He's been stabbed a billion times. So good that he made it that far. His reason for getting out of the elevator, though, that's a bad story right there. Like, shoot him in the head or they'll come back. And it's like, dude, who cares? I care. Like, really? You should care about getting out of here, bro. You made perfect sense in the movie up until that point. Moving on from the pace and the dewey of it all, let's get into the entertainment value. I thought this movie was very entertaining because it didn't feel like 4 did. 4 felt like, man, they just forcing this on us. Just trying to make things about Sydney. Sydney. This, for some reason, felt fresher than 3 and 4. It felt more like, hey, we trying to like reinvigorate the franchise. They did the same thing as far as just being meta. Like they reenacted scenes from the movie, basically. I like the fact that they had the black girl there calling it a requel and, you know, really getting into that and kind of breaking down the rules of that. I do like the take on fandom. You know, that was cool. That was entertaining to see fandom being called out as a menace and like as toxic and as being like the focal point, because 4 was kind of talking about how everybody want to be a celebrity, everybody want their 15 minutes of fame. That part of culture has always existed and always will. This, to me, with the toxic fandoms and, you know, the Star Wars crew or the Spider-Man crew, seems like they bubbling up like some petitions. You got the Restore the Snyderverse crew, you know, petitioning and trying to get things happening and actually getting things happening, pressuring theaters and not theaters, but pressuring studios and stuff. It's like, yo, I'm glad that they went that route. That was cool. That was new. That was original to make commentary on that. But besides that, it's just a fun premise to me, like slashers, cool stuff. They even made note of like how Halloween is not Halloween without certain people. The meta-ness really hit hard in this one, and the self-awareness, the fourth wall stuff really hit hard in this one. So yes, I would say definitely entertaining. All those things were things that I liked. Didn't know that I would like them going in, but I really did enjoy the self-aware angle of it all. And the rewatchability, I'll say this, I would recommend this for anybody who likes slashers, so it gets many points in that regard. But because of the R-rated nature of this one, with the cursing, it's a lot of cursing and a lot of like hand gestures, certain fingers. I think to myself like, this is not something I could just have on because of my household and stuff like that. So deduct a few for that one. Would I watch this again? I actually kind of want to watch it at least one more time, start to finish, like no breaks, like lock in one more time. Don't know if I'll pay for that though. And might just wait till it's on home demand and catch it that way. And the other thought would be like, if there's a group of friends who want to get together at any point in time and watch something, this would definitely be one I would suggest, you know, depending on the group. This might be one that we want to look at. It's a fun movie. But I think that fun only lasts maybe like 2, maybe 3 times, because after you see what's coming and you know how things are gonna turn out, like there's only to go back and look for clues, look for hints in there before it's kind of run its course and it's no longer super entertaining, edge of your seat stuff. I actually wasn't on the edge of my seat for this. I kind of sat back and relaxed, and I've fallen asleep on films before, and this was definitely not one of them. It was paced well enough. It was entertaining enough. The story, I just was kind of interested in the fact that, hey, we haven't seen Sidney Prescott for a while. And then when we do get her, it's like a glorified cameo. I was kind of interested to see how much of her we're going to get. They had my interest throughout the film. So very, very good movie. Not talking like a cinematic masterpiece. Like I always say, there's tiers and levels to things. And Scream is not one to me that is like, all the film buffs are gonna be loving it, but audiences should get a kick out of it. And even to the horror fan, like, hey, this one is a pretty good horror, you know? Like, it was well done, it was entertaining, the kills are there, the slasher, it is one of the quintessential slashers of our day. Like, it's not Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. It doesn't have that central character, like they said in the movie, that central character that keeps coming back. But somebody's gonna always be willing to put on the ghost face in that town of I think it's Woodville. It's like, yeah, somebody's always willing. And they did a great job recreating the house from the first one. Because again, I watched the first one this week, and it's like, yeah, y'all did real good recreating the vibe of the first one. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the film. Let me know what you think. You know, what were your favorite parts? Did you catch that the female killer was the female killer? Did she telegraph to you? Was it telegraphed to you that Dewey was out of there? Because I thought very clearly from the moment he showed up on screen, Dewey is out of there. Let me know, what are your thoughts on all those things? How do you feel about the movie? And we'll converse down there in the comment section, man. I'm looking forward to it. Please drop a comment, subscribe if you like if you like. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, come back and check out more videos.